Welcome to Integration Nation for Allison Sullivan and Associates Integrative Mental Health Practice. I'm Dee Daniels, and from beautiful downtown Fredericksburg, Virginia, here we are today.
Here we
are. And I just want to say, as you might be joining us for the first time or a long-time listener, thank you for being here.
We love that you're here, and we love sharing all of the great stuff related to integrative mental health with you and building this community. The mission of this podcast is to educate people about how wonderful and effective quality integrative mental health is, and to improve access to mental health by creating a podcast that removes barriers to access. You can get this podcast for free on any device that you have. You can also listen to every single episode we have for free on our website. So no matter where you are, no matter what circumstance you're in, we are here to meet you where you are.
What I also love about this practice is that it's growing.
It's growing. We have on board with us a new addition to the integrative family, Caitlin Kelly, who comes to us so qualified in so many neat areas. She's licensed as a professional counselor in Virginia. She also is a licensed art therapist and a yoga instructor. So we have continued to expand the integrative offerings by bringing her on. And one of the initial workshops that she's going to bring to the table that we are very excited about is Yin Yoga for Body Acceptance.
Wow, that sounds really powerful, actually.
Very, very powerful. And so if you are not subscribed to the newsletter, you definitely want to subscribe to the newsletter on our website. At the bottom of every page, you see a form that says subscribe to our newsletter, and that's where you're just going to want to input your email address, because when we offer the workshops, we send that information out to our email subscriber list first. And the thing about our yoga workshops is we keep them really intimate, so 5 or 6 people.
Yeah, so that means you have to sign up really quickly for that.
You got to get into the yoga ones quickly. And so Caitlin being here is a really wonderful addition to the family, and we're super happy to have her.
Our topic for the episode today, meeting yourself where you are. And I think people probably have heard us use that phrase several times in other episodes. And we're really going to give that a visual today.
Yes, we are. We're going to really kind of dive deeper into exactly what does that mean and how do we do that. And I think in the spirit of meeting yourself where you are, probably a good time to mention one of our sponsors, Dragonfly Yoga Studio of Fredericksburg. You can find them at dragonflyyogafred.com, because that is exactly what Dragonfly does. They meet you where you are in your yoga practice. If you are completely new to the practice, if you have been practicing for a while and looking to expand your skill in classes and workshops, if you're an advanced practitioner, wherever you are in your yoga practice, Dragonfly Yoga Studio is the studio for you. It is, in my opinion, the perfect blend of a serious yoga studio with a welcoming, inclusive community, a personal touch, individualized experiences, and a range of classes and workshops that really hit all of the marks for a yoga practice. So you can find them at dragonflyyogafred.com to learn about their instructors, to learn about their classes, all their workshops. Check them out today. They're in beautiful downtown Fredericksburg, right in the middle of Caroline Street.
I'm always interested, Allison, to find out what inspired you for our episode topic. Where did you get this? Because again, it's kind of a theme that we've had, meeting you where you are, and now meeting yourself where you are. So important to turn that in.
Yes. Okay, so there are a couple of inspirations for this topic. It came really into focus with the discussion with Haley, our marketing director, and talking about life transitions and talking about things that are new and taking risks and developing parts of yourself, and how intimidating, how overwhelming that can feel, how uncertain that can feel. And so she and I were talking about meeting yourself where you are, because things are going to happen in life. We're going to have a loss. We're going to suffer an injury or other unexpected things that we don't see coming. And we're also going to invite new things into our lives. We're going to want to try new things. We're going to maybe want to move. We're going to want to try a new job. We're going to bring a new relationship into our lives. And so learning how to meet yourself where you are in all of those feelings is a super important topic.
I feel like you talking about some of these things like life transitions and taking risks and realizing where you are in those and sort of stepping back and looking at yourself, that never stops. Like that doesn't go away when you hit 30 or 32 or 38 or that things keep happening.
Things keep happening. And I'd like to do another episode about that because that relates to the notion of a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And the reality is life is constantly moving and things are shifting and we're shifting, and how we're meeting ourselves in that really matters. I think there is a tendency for people to assume that when they're feeling insecure or they're feeling overwhelmed in the middle of something, maybe a new relationship or a move, that they're missing something. Something's wrong because I'm feeling this way. They're missing what I call the golden ticket. Actually, the golden ticket is self-acceptance, because that really is the core of meeting yourself where you are. When you can lean into self-acceptance and move away from comparison, it helps to shift your relationship with transition.
I think that's one of the things that really struck me is when you were starting to talk about this and that we were going to do this episode is about comparing yourself to other people in this process of transition, or you're going through something in your life. Boy, that's so easy to do, to, know I'm going through something right now. Maybe it's an illness in your family, or maybe it's a relationship situation or a move, whatever it is. And you think about, like, you immediately think about other people that have gone through maybe similar things. And you're like, okay, they did this so much better than I did, or quicker. Or
Yes. Or you just look at people's outsides and compare that to your insides that feel super messy, and then automatically start telling yourself, I'm not enough. Something's wrong with me. And social media is a huge trigger for this kind of stuff. When people feel super messy because they're learning, they're assimilating, they're integrating whatever's going on, and they get on social media and they see these pictures of people having these great experiences and looking so comfortable in their skin, then they think, okay, then something's really wrong with me, because that is not at all what I'm experiencing right now. And that right there is the invitation for self-acceptance.
Yeah, and I think too, we've done episodes about this before, about knowing where your limitations should be regarding things like social media, and especially if you're in one of these times in life where you're needing to meet yourself where you are and not judge yourself and be compassionate, because looking at social media will mess you up.
Yes, I think we talked about that in protecting your headspace, because sometimes we have to know, okay, that's actually the essence of what we're talking about, because when we're sitting in self-acceptance, then we understand, okay, this is where I'm at, so how I need to not be doing that. I need to accept that I feel a little out of control. I feel a little raw. So I'm not going to rub salt in that by getting on social media and seeing a bunch of pictures that are going to trigger me to compare myself to them.
Yeah, it really is amazing when you step back and see, because, we just automatically go to social media sometimes.
For a distraction.
Yeah. And sometimes that's not at all a distraction. It's actually doing some damage. So to get in there and look at that takes some self-control sometimes, because it's like an automatic, I check it when I get up or when I go to bed.
Yes, and I think this is especially difficult for women, this comparison issue.
I think so too.
Whether it's something like being in a yoga class or risking a job or showing up for a social event, or, any number of things that you can think about. If you feel new at it, if you feel like you're not competent, and you're watching other people who are at a different chapter in this experience, then women jump right to comparison sometimes as a way to kind of disengage.
You talk about us having the golden ticket inside of us already, which first of all makes me think of Willy Wonka. I'm not going to lie.
That's what I thought
I'm
about
already
because
there.
I
I'm
thought
already
about
there.
all the chocolate bars. That's what
Hello.
made me think
Yes.
about that. All the chocolate bars they were ripping into to find the golden ticket.
There were only 5, I think, right? Yeah, and
Yes, but here's the good news. We all have our own golden ticket.
we don't have to go through.
No. I mean,
boxes.
I'll eat some chocolate
Hello.
bars to look
if
for
you
it.
need help, we're both volunteering, by the way.
Yeah, I'll take all the dark chocolate bars.
So good. So it's inside of you. It's inside of us already. It's about
It's not about turning away in comparison. It's about turning towards ourselves and just saying, yes, okay, I'm in it. I am in this really confusing, overwhelming, uncomfortable situation, and I'm feeling all kinds of things about it. That's really the start to self-acceptance. And so when we allow ourselves to be exactly who we are in whatever situation we're in, without judgment and without demanding perfection, it means that we can open up to the notion that there isn't one right way to live a life. And that is really important. The comparison gets fed when we decide there's one right way to look, sound, feel, and be in our life. And so we immediately think, well, if I'm not in that space, then something's wrong with me. The challenge is actually to live authentically and wholeheartedly the one life that we're experiencing.
And I think too, you were talking about, this thought process of like, there's only one right way. We get very attached to like what we think those outcomes should be and how that should look to get there.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, now once we get there, we'll be good.
Yes.
But getting there, it needs to look this way.
Yes. Yes. And all of that is just a subjective tunneling of experience that moves us away from self-acceptance and moves us away from ourselves, which actually makes things feel more overwhelming and makes us feel less secure in kind of navigating the changing circumstances, whatever those are.
So how do we do that? How do we get to a place where we can turn in and say, you know what, I want to meet myself exactly where I am right now and be compassionate about it and be kind to myself, which also means not judging myself. Mm-hmm. How do we go about? Is there a step process we can follow?
I wish there was a nice little handout.
Is there a how-to?
A handout I could put on the website. Do A, B, C, and D. And
Yes.
you too will be sitting
Check.
in constant self-acceptance.
Yes.
That's not really how
It's
it
not
works.
how it goes. It's
not how it
messy.
goes. It's messy and
Yeah.
it's unique. It's really unique. It takes presence to be able to do it. So there are some kind of general guidelines that I use with clients to help them develop a more robust relationship with self-acceptance. That's how I want to invite people to think about this. Instead of, if you think about different types of relationships, instead of having a distant kind of acquaintanceship with self-acceptance, we want to have a really intimate, robust relationship with self-acceptance. And so the first thing to do in that pursuit is a mindfulness approach. It's really to take a pause and notice what's going on in your thoughts, in your emotions, and in your body. All of those things without attaching, more from a place of curiosity and judgment. So if you notice yourself in a circumstance and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I feel so awkward doing this. I'm stumbling over my words. How come these people over in that group are having such a free-flowing conversation and I feel like I'm just almost vomiting words that make no sense? As soon as you notice something like that, that's an invitation to take a pause, to just say, okay, I'm in that spot again where I'm really being hypercritical and really overthinking and over-evaluating what's going on. I'm just going to take a deep breath and just kind of settle in a little bit with everything that's going on. What does my body feel like right now? Where is there tension? Is there any tension? What are my emotions? Where am I at? It's just kind of like taking a pulse. Where am I at?
I feel like meditation practice really does help you know how to do that.
Yes.
Because, if you meditate regularly or even semi-regularly, you've probably, heard that process going in of like, let's pay attention to the breath. What's going on? Where are you holding tension in the body? Let's release that. That
Yes.
mindfulness meditation really does show you how to take that pause.
It absolutely does. And so that's another amazing benefit of developing a meditation practice is it allows you to feel more at home in your body in general. And Alana and I talked about that quite a bit in the episode Coming Home to Yourself, about how to learn to be more present in your body and in your mind. After you do that, there's kind of a couple of steps you can take that are more of a psychotherapeutic nuts and bolts, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy kind of approach to take. And that is to acknowledge your inherent worth.
I love that. I love that you kick right in with that, because that's after you see all that stuff and you know what's going on, to remind yourself there of your worth. Whew,
that's the
stuff.
absolute next step, is to say, okay, I have worth because I am here, I exist, I'm breathing, I'm a part of the human race. That's why I have worth, not because I'm struggling in a particular circumstance. That has no impact on our worth. So that's number 2. Then, once you kind of shore up or begin to shore up that sense of worth, reminding yourself, wait a minute, my outsides don't determine my insides. My insides are just about my insides. My outsides are always changing. Mm-hmm. Then it opens the door for you to begin to let go of comparison, even if it's teeny, tiny steps. Because when you become more practiced at being present, the first thing we talked about, and then you acknowledge and kind of ground yourself in your worth, the second thing we talked about, then it allows you to use those 2 things to turn away from comparing yourself to other people and turn towards yourself and supporting yourself where you're at. I mean, let's just be honest. Comparison is toxic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's invalid, really. There is no accurate comparison. We are all living a unique experience. So when we compare ourselves to others, it just really doesn't work.
No, and you make up stories about the pieces you don't know about this other person you're comparing yourself to.
That's why it's toxic.
Yeah.
It's not accurate data, and it just serves to make you feel bad. So whatever step you can take each time you find yourself in the circumstance to move just a little bit away from comparison is super important. And then the 4th thing you can do is related to self-talk. And it also relates more to a growth mindset. You really want to pay attention and affirm your efforts, not the results, the efforts. Mm-hmm. Every time you show up in the mess, every time you take a step towards figuring out what you're in, every time you practice, affirming the efforts is a really important part of increasing and deepening your relationship with self-acceptance.
Can I just pause there and say, this is how fantastic of a therapist that you are, because literally you help people learn how to affirm themselves in that moment. And you affirm as well by showing them, like right before we started, I'm having this conversation with you and I was like, I like to turn in and lean in and look at things and don't turn away. And you said in such an affirming, sweet way, I see you do that. I see that. And even if you just said that to yourself,
I see you,
I see
girl.
You're
doing it.
That's right. What a great, just simple phrase to say to yourself in those moments.
It's real. And it really does promote self-acceptance. And self-acceptance is rocket fuel for feeling belonging and feeling safe. It's just rocket fuel. Mm-hmm. It's not a recipe for apathy and indulgence. It really isn't. People think that. It's not. Okay. So once you're in that spot, it's about embracing the awkward.
I love this. Number 5.
Yes, embracing the awkward, because there is in anything that comes out of the blue that we don't see coming, or or changes that we're involved in, that we invite in, there is awkward parts of it. Because there has to be awkward parts for us to deepen our relationship with what's going on, to integrate it. We don't have kind of a rhythm. We don't have a template that we've settled into. We're creating that. And so that's awkward at first. I'm not sure if we've talked about this in a prior episode or not, but I talk about this a lot with clients. I learned this when I was getting certified in hypnosis. The teacher explained to us the 4 stages of learning. And I think this is so important and relates so beautifully to self-acceptance. Okay. The first stage of learning is unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Second stage of learning is conscious incompetence. You're starting to know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. The third stage of learning is where the awkward happens, and it's where most people are tempted to abandon learning. It's called conscious competence. It's where you're learning the new tools, you're integrating the new experience, you're resolving whatever's going on. However, you don't have a tried and true method yet. So everything feels kind of out of joint and clunky, like you're the only one on the dance floor without the moves.
Right. It's not smooth.
It's not smooth.
Yeah.
When I talk to people about this, I usually...
You're Carlton in the room.
Yes, you're
doing the Carlton.
Yes, or I reference when you're learning to drive.
Yeah.
Just the thought of changing lanes. You have to think about many things. You're like, okay, where's my lane position? I got to turn on my turn signal. Now I've got to look behind me. Now I've got to turn the wheel. Now and I've got to keep steady on the gas. You've got to think about all those steps. Now I do those things automatically, but when I was learning to drive and then I finally changed lanes, I mean, the grip I had on the steering wheel, it would cramp my hands.
Yes.
So that's conscious competence.
Yeah. And it's awkward.
It's super awkward.
Yeah.
So that's where you embrace the awkward, because that means you're learning. It's evidence you're learning. It's not evidence of being not enough. You lean into that, because when you lean into that, you get to the fourth stage of learning, which is unconscious competence. It just becomes automatic. And
right.
Self-acceptance can become more automatic. It can become over time you're more of a default setting, if you will, when you practice this stuff. So the last kind of step to do that is self-empathy, which we talked a lot about as we opened up episode 212 of the podcast, Empathy is a Magic Wand. When we can...
Such a great episode.
When we can show ourselves empathy, that really kind of allows the self-acceptance to settle deeply all the way through.
I love that. That's so good. And a great episode to listen to, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, a great episode.
So maybe this would be a companion episode for that.
I think so too. I really do, because I mean, that was about really not only with yourself, but also in your relationships.
In your relationships, yes. And so the beautiful thing about self-acceptance is when you learn how to have an intimate and deep relationship in self-acceptance with yourself, then that allows you to offer more of that in your relationships, which is so liberating.
Yes.
Deeply liberating, because that means you can know who you are, you can be with yourself in changes, and then that means you are more able to be with other people during that process.
I hope that you are ready for Q&A.
I am ready for Q&A, and I want to start off Q&A actually with a comment.
Ooh, I love it.
Actually, I've got 2 comments.
I have one too.
All right, you go first.
Okay, fine. You look ready though. Why don't you?
I know. I've got my sticky note of comments right here.
You do. I don't. I feel like you're just ready. Let's go. Let's hear
ready.
Let's hear it.
Okay. I love these comments. These make me so happy. Okay. The first comment is, I love when you share personal stories.
Aw.
I know. I've thought a lot about that, and I've thought a lot about that as we develop the podcast and as we're looking forward to beginning to plan season 3. So I'd like to honor that with continuing to learn how to weave personal stories into these episodes, because they are meaningful. I mean, we know that stories matter to people. And I think sometimes therapists seem like they're not real people.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I do.
So I love that comment. The second comment that I wanted to talk about today is we had a listener tell me that both and in incorporating the both and approach has reduced the stress in their life on a daily basis. They now use it as part of like a daily stress management tool.
That is fantastic.
I love that.
I have used the both. Let me just stand there with this person and say I have also used that literally, I feel like at least a couple of times a week since we've done that episode, to give myself permission for feeling two things that I thought might be competing with each other.
Yes.
And just accept that. And it's such a beautiful way to do it. And I love, love, love that episode.
Well, this person said the same thing, really, that it's just relieved so much self-imposed pressure when they realize, oh, wait a minute, actually, I'm allowed.
Yes.
I'm allowed to feel all of this at once.
Yes. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. And it does, there's a sense of relief at the end of that episode. I'm telling you, if you haven't heard it, go listen to it and share it with other people.
Both and the lure of certainty. So thank you
So
for those comments, and keep them coming, because it helps us as we're developing the different episodes, and it helps us to meet you where you are, which is what we want to do.
Exactly. My comment was from Shannon.
Okay.
I thought the Herbal Healing 101 episode was amazing. And I've never had an experience with holy basil, but after you guys talked about it, I really want to.
I fully support that endeavor. Holy basil is such a powerhouse in the spirit of stress reduction that we were just talking about with both and. It's an adaptogen, which I love that word, because it just helps our bodies learn how to, and our cells learn how to manage stress. And so absolutely, figure out how to incorporate holy basil into your stress management toolkit, and look forward to more episodes with Dr. Keenan, because we're already planning some.
Yeah, he's a wealth of knowledge. And I mean, it's like when he starts talking about these things, they're just putting things together in a way you've never thought of. And he knows his stuff. And it was really educational and really opened my eyes to trying some different things.
Yes, and his tea.
Oh, the tea.
The tea. I'm getting more next week, by
I
the
bet
way.
you are. I don't doubt that one bit.
So I guess, with that comment and with my comments, let me just remind people, you can subscribe to our newsletter from our website. You can find that at the bottom of each page on our website. There's actually a menu where you can see how to subscribe as well, because we put integrative extras, we like to call them, in our monthly newsletter. Just tidbits of information about integrative mental health approaches to help build up your toolkit. And so when you subscribe to the newsletter, you get access to those, as well as information about when the workshops are happening, discounts for the workshops, when the podcasts are coming out, all kinds of things.
Yeah, sign up for the newsletter. It is everything, and it's your map. It will guide you. It's your menu, and possibly a coupon discount. So seriously, I mean...
Sign up for the newsletter. It gives you all the integrative goodies.
It does. Allison'sIntegrativeHealth.org is the website. That's where you can find everything you've been looking for. Links to get where you need to go, previous podcast episodes. It is all there. And this is such a fantastic hub to know what a holistic mental health practice is all about.
Yes, and we've streamlined it in the website. If you go to the homepage, at the top of the homepage on the right-hand side, you'll see all of the ways to interact with us via social media through these beautiful buttons. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see the 3 menu bars that, if you click that, you'll see everything else that you could possibly need, including news and events, products, workshops, who we are and what we do. And we're constantly updating that as we expand all of the things that we are here to offer the Fredericksburg community in integrative mental health.
It's a beautiful thing, and it is something you'll really appreciate, and thank yourself for stopping by the website, because you will get a lot of fantastic tools available to you. And of course, by contacting Allison, she always wants to answer your questions and always wants to talk to you about anything that you have going on. Allison'sIntegrativeHealth.org, because yes, she will meet you where you are today. Allison Sullivan and Associates Integrative Mental Health Team is located in beautiful, historic downtown Fredericksburg, Virginia, and at Allison'sIntegrativeHealth.org. New and exciting workshops are available to you that will give you personal attention to meet your needs right where you are on your journey. Sign up for our newsletter to be the first to know when registration opens for workshops like Aromatherapy 101. Here's how you can discover to use aromatherapy to support your health. Did you know that a blend of frankincense, peppermint, and lemongrass supports wisdom, optimism, and it will help you release unhealthy attachments? This is where you can learn how to support your mental, emotional, and physical health with the Essential Oils workshops available to you monthly for no charge. Come meet the team. Schedule your session today for psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, yoga, and massage, and begin restoring yourself in mind, body, and spirit. If you'd like to call, the number is 540-907-0991 and online at Allison'sIntegrativeHealth.org. As Allison always says, self-care will save your life. Let go and lean in.